welcome to the Irish Arsenal Gunner podcast. It's Tuesday the 17th of January. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. I'm joined by my weekly guests, as always, Carl Ozzy Osborne. How are you, Carl?
I'm good, mate. I'm very well.
Craig Smith. How are you, Craig?
How are you, Johnny?
Too bad, pal. And a welcome back to Lottie Brown. How are you, Charlotte?
I'm good, thank you. I'm still sitting on cloud 9 from Sunday. So I think we all are, to be honest with you.
And so was Ramsdale after getting that kick up the arse as well.
Yeah.
More ways than one. It's as always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel, and you can catch us on Instagram as well. Just go to Dublin Arsenal and that, and Martin Stumble will be adding daily content, and you can catch our show within 24 hours from tonight as well. Thanks to our sponsor, clubgolf.co.uk. Use DubArsenal10 for a 10% discount at the checkout. And as always, you can catch all our matches throughout the season in the official supporters pub, the River Bar in Dublin City Centre. That's where you can catch all the lads, as always. And week on week now, with us winning nearly week on week, the pub is literally packed out. So it's great to see. And long may it continue. Last week's stats was 62 views, 6 likes, and we're up to 2,800 subscribers now. So we're going really well, and hopefully we can keep growing over the next 4 or 5 months. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing our away success to Tottenham Hotspur, of course 2-0 win over the Field. We'll also be previewing our big clash this Sunday against Manchester United at home. 4:30 kickoff, isn't it? And for that one, and at the end of the show, some transfer chat as well about the possible arrival of Rafinha, and the loss of Modric and Felix, 2 big blows. But on Sunday you wouldn't really realise it, and this is what Modric is missing. So, Modric, are you listening? This is what you're missing on a Tuesday evening and the weekend.
He's probably going to tune in. He's probably one of those 53.
Yeah, you're no longer welcome at the Emirates, Mikhailo Modric. I'd just like to thank Thomas Carroll that left a comment on last week's show in regards to Craig. Craig says he doesn't know him from Adam. So I'd like to thank Thomas. The Dublin Arsenal fan pack is heading out. He says, keep Craig on the show every week. He makes great comments.
Don't know who this fella is, but thanks very much.
It should really be the host getting compliments, but
Definitely.
I'm still waiting. But I'll keep putting the effort in, like the team we have, and maybe I'll get there in the end. So we kick off as usual with the review of Sunday's 2-0 away win, goals by Saka and Martin Odegaard with a screamer again from long range. He's having some season. I thought the first half, I think we'd all agree, was pretty faultless. You know, I thought the midfield of Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard were just immense. One comment left under the Sky Sports Premier League video where they stick up straight after the match was saying that was that midfield three is the best they've seen in Europe, and that was by 4 or 5 people, and that shows how far Granit Xhaka has come, because we knew Partey and Odegaard had it in them, but to get that compliment, it is nice to see, and it shows other fans from other clubs are seeing us as potential champions there, I say it. Yeah, look, brilliant. Brilliant to get the double over Spurs since 2013-14. Didn't think it was that long. Me and Ozzy were talking about there on Sunday. That pile driver from Rosicki was the time we got it. It leaves us top with 47 points. Clear City by 8, isn't it? 8 points. And United to come. I'll come to you, Lottie, since you're coming back to us. What did you make of the game on Sunday?
Oh, it was one of the best games I've seen at the Lanes. It's funny you mentioned that Rosicki goal. That was the last time I was at the Lane as well. So
Oh, amazing.
it's one of my favourite goals by him. He's still one of my favourite players ever for us in an Arsenal shirt. But game, it was electric. Didn't sleep the night before as usual, as I do every season. Been awake nearly 36 hours by the time the game came round. Oh, I'm just glad it got there. The Tollerton was electric. Songs going, and everything, and there was just no like. How do I put this? I hate when we play other teams and I hear Tottenham songs. I will not sing them. So there was no hesitation. I've just about got my voice back. So Ozzy can confirm how loud I can be for sure.
Yeah, very loud. Very loud. That's confirmed.
No, but the game was brilliant. Like you could just see coming out tunnels. You see that shot of Martin Odegaard. You know the game's already done. He's came to play, and that's what he did. And it's just, I find that with more games, when he always starts, we've always got better leadership on the pitch. I don't know about you guys, but at Oxford, there was no leadership on that pitch at all. They were lost without him for me, personally. And it's just always great to see him back up and running. I know we've got to rotate, but there isn't, if you haven't got Granit Xhaka on there isn't a leader there. So, but in terms of the game, it was brilliant. We were all over them, rattled them from the minute the whistle went, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, Purty's pile driver in the first half that hit the crossbar reminded you of the shot he had at home when we won 3-1. You know, he was in one of those to that form, wasn't he? Very little got past our midfield. Second half, he took our foot off the gas, but you always expected that. You know, we were never going to go 90 miles an hour again. But I think, I know myself and Ozzy were saying Sunday, Nketiah had a good few chances that probably deserved a goal. You know, Lloris didn't have one of his better days, and he's had a few of them against us. He drops a few clangers now and again, you know, and when you compare him to Ramsdale, who had 7 good saves over that match, mostly from Kane and Son, his alertness compared to Lloris, you know, he's a future England number one. To be honest, if it was Gareth Southgate myself, I'd pick him over Pickford, hands down. You know, I think Pickford's a mistake as well, waiting to happen in the game. But it shows how far Ramsdale has come since his time with Sheffield United and Bournemouth over the last 3 or 4 seasons, you know. And definitely my man of the match would have been Aaron Ramsdale, you know, for those saves at them crucial times, you know, because Spurs that had their chances and it could have easily been a draw any other day. But the way we're playing this season, you could see we're really up for it. Ozzy, what did you make of the match Sunday?
So firstly, what a game that was. I know we've talked about this on Sunday, but for me, that's you said a central midfield of Xhaka, Thomas, and Odegaard really, and with Zinchenko popping into that midfield as well. You're not going to see a better midfield performance than that in the Premier League. Sarr and Holberg just didn't know what to do with them, and then. What complements that so well is the front three of Martinelli, Saka, and Eddie, and just the little battles we saw all over the pitch. Really, Martinelli versus Romero. Romero didn't know what to do. Lucky didn't get sent off. He'd done an absolute job on him. Saka for me was absolutely terrifying. Their defence constantly. He was pulling 3 men out. He was trying to double up on him as points. Holberg was getting drawn into that, so he had 3 men on him, which just created that room for people like Martin Odegaard to come into that space and do what he did. And his finish and his goal was fantastic. But then Saka with the first. It was a bad mistake with Lloris, but you know, it was coming. It was coming in that opening stage of the game. And I just think our midfield is just so solid. And Xhaka and Thomas Partey is so important for how we play. Thomas Partey, for me, it's a faultless performance. Other than he probably should have scored that volley. You know, he had a go at it, didn't he? but honestly, you know, that front three. I know we're saying we're going to miss Jesus. Eddie's a completely different player to that, but he was tireless, and I'm going to doff my cap to Eamon really and say it's on behalf of Eamon. I thought Eddie Nketiah was fantastic. He was tireless running. Yes, he didn't get a goal. He had a few chances, but all he could, you know, he hit the target on them. But yeah, he should have done, maybe could have done better. But his runs, his movement, what he was doing off the ball, And you know, I thought he did a great performance for Eddie. He just needed a goal to cap it, really. And I think he'd have been hands down man of the match if he got a goal. But there were players on the pitch. For me, Saka and Martinelli just absolutely took their defence apart. And that was just allowed to do that because our midfield was so strong, and that's where we won the game. Zinchenko was phenomenal. For me, he was one of my contenders for man of the match, hadn't he not gone off. But he was brilliant. Ben White was fantastic again. Son only had one real chance, didn't he? I think in that game. And Saliba and Gabriel and Ramsdale, you know, you just look pretty. I've said your whole 11 there, but all of them had a fantastic performance. But yeah, no, you know, Harry Kane didn't get his goal against us. There was that bit just before half time where I thought I'd give a penalty. I don't know how everyone else thought about that. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic result. Yes, they were going to come at us in the second half. I think, you know, it's inevitable. We're playing at their place. There was going to be a period where they'd dominate, and we rode that. Yeah, we've had a few chances. They was going to at home, and yeah, but we stood firm and we got the 2-0. And I'm going to say, I did tell you guys to put a bet on 2-0 on the last pod. So if you listened and took my advice, I did say 2-0, and I know some people were surprised by that, but I was confident about this, and I think we've seen what this team are. It was a fantastic performance, and roll on Sunday. I think it's going to be a tougher fixture on Sunday, but
yeah,
you know what? I've got every confidence in our team again, and I think we can do it.
Yeah, when you just said there, Ozzy, every player, the first 11, played a blinder, deserved man of the match, shows how far we've come over the last 2 or 3 seasons, because the amount of stick that we would have given players if we lost to Spurs, you know, which we have done at White Hart Lane over that, you know, shows home and away this season against them. We just blew them off the pitch. You could see Conte was just like, God, here we go. You know,
not a single player shied away to the occasion, and I think last season we saw quite a immature side, and it just shows how far they've come. I think the characters they showed, they didn't shy away from any fight. Every battle, I think we won man for man, and you could see Tottenham were dejected, and so were their fans as well.
yeah,
I have the hindsight of seeing a few videos from the Spurs fans, and it was just silence, and they like recording themselves like that. So. It was quite interesting to watch a few of the videos of them just sitting in silence and being frustrated. So actually doing it a few days later, this podcast showed us some good insights of how quiet it was in that stadium. But again, credit to our fans, fantastic as well. I thought our fans were brilliant.
100%. Yeah, it's like we won the title at the Lane on Sunday, because the celebrations at the end from the away fans was like back in 2004. You know. It's just great times when you just beat Spurs at their place. It really is. It doesn't happen very often, so you have to soak it in. Craig, how did you find another away day win against the Spurs?
Yeah, it was a brilliant win. You know, I was actually quietly confident going into this derby. I don't know why. Normally before a derby, I'm kind of, you know, very concerned and worried that we're going to get a spanking, because, you know, let's be honest, in the derbies, you know, most of the wins come from the home team. It's just because, you know, they're the backing of the fans, and, you know, playing at the Emirates or playing at the Tottenham. Well, I don't even know what that stadium is called now, but anyways, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Armitage Shanks Arena, mate.
What's it called?
Armitage Shanks Arena. It's named after a toilet. Sorry, that's a joke. Yeah.
But yeah, the home team tends to win these games, so I was a bit worried, and you know, the club had a difficult week. Is everyone there?
Yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, so the club had a difficult week. You know, losing Mudryk to Chelsea, so a loss on Sunday would have been devastating, and a lot of fans would have been you know, kind of on Twitter venting their frustration about that. But you know, look, a lot of, you know, Ozzy and Lottie have touched on a lot of points there. I think the first half we absolutely dominated Spurs. It was very similar to the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, where, you know, we just kind of played Spurs off the park. The first kind of 5 minutes they tried to press us, but it wasn't working for them. Zinchenko again, you know, what a game he had. You know, he just dropped into midfield with Partey and Xhaka, and Odegaard, and Spurs didn't know what to do. You know, it was 4 against 2 at times against Sarr and Højbjerg. They had no answer for it. Their first goal, yeah, Lloris makes a mistake there. It's not his first this season. I think his career is kind of dwindling down. I think Spurs will definitely go for a keeper in the summer. You know, it was a very poor mistake. And then the second goal with Odegaard, you know, it was a good hit, but then again, you could maybe question the keeper. If that was Ramsdale letting that in from 25 yards out, you know, I'd have questions about it. The first half again, you know, when the second goal went in, I was delighted, but I was kind of saying, you know, because we were so good and Spurs were so bad in that half, I was kind of hoping for the third to come in, because I knew second half Spurs were going to come back and, you know, come at us, because if they got a goal, which they didn't, you know, their tails would have been up and the fans would have, you know, been cheering them on. So, you know, again, Ramsdale had an amazing game. Some of the saves were absolutely brilliant. You know, a save against Sessegnon. You know, if he doesn't get that, you know, we're 2-1 up and there's still a half an hour to go.
Yeah.
And, you know, we could drop points there. You know, they come back 2-2, and you know, Spurs always kind of get their penalty against us, but luckily this time we didn't. As Ozzy said earlier on, I actually thought he pointed to the penalty spot at the first half when the whistle blew, because he pointed to the spot and Højbjerg was rolling around on the ground. So I said, here we go, here's Kane breaking the record, trying to get Jimmy Reeves' record. So I nearly having a heart attack when that was given, but thank God. I don't know if it was given or was it not given, or did it bar? I don't think it was given, but
no, I don't think. I think he put goal kick or something, wasn't it? I don't know whether it got confused.
Yeah,
who knows what happened on there.
Then second half, then look, we suffered a little bit. They had their chances, but I think that was always going to happen. You know, Spurs are a counter-attacking team. I think when we went 2-0 up, we kind of set back and said, you know, let Spurs kind of come at us and see what they're about. But you know, they had a few chances, and apart from the Sessegnon one, I don't think any of the chances were, you know, too serious. Again, I think towards second half we did tire a little bit. You know, Arteta bringing on Tomiyasu and Tierney and putting Tierney left wing just kind of shows you the lack of attacking options we have now. I know we have touched on it in the previous podcasts. Maybe Smith Rowe wasn't fit enough to come on maybe a little bit earlier to give Martinelli a break, but you know, it's so vital that we get 1 or 2 players in, because you know, this was what we have now. I know we'll get Jesus back maybe, but from listening to Arteta, you know, it doesn't sound like he's going to be back anytime soon. I think it could be maybe, you know, mid-March that we're looking at now for him, and there's still 7 or 8 games between that to play. So when the Europa League comes around, and that's going to be a game, you know, Thursday, Sunday. So
yeah,
you know, I think it's really vital that we do have 1 or 2 players. But look, it's not like we haven't won in 9 years. So I'll take the 2-0 win, and like Ozzy, a lot you were saying, you know, Sunday's going to be a very tough game. A lot of United fans, you know, think they're back in the title race, so it'd be good to beat them and, you know, shut them up, because I personally think we're a lot better than them, and we definitely owe them one.
Yeah,
because they shouldn't have beat us at Old Trafford. It was a disgrace that goal being overturned by Martinelli. So
yeah,
you know, I really hope we're up for it, because we do owe them. And similar to the Liverpool game, you know, I was very nervous coming to that last October. But we beat them 3-1 or 3-2. I think it was 3-2. Yeah. Or that's the game, you know, and we were absolutely brilliant that day. So I think we beat Spurs United on Sunday. I really do.
Yeah, I can't. Our home form's impeccable, isn't it? Only Newcastle have got a point off us at home, and you know, and it shows how far we've come under Arteta in such a small space of time. You know, there was an unsavoury moment at the end regarding the Spurs fan being able to get as close to Ramsdale and kicking him in the back. As Ramsdale says, it's a petty incident, you know, he's not injured, not hurt, but hopefully that fan will be banned by Spurs and set an example, because regardless of a derby or whatever, you don't want to see that happening, do you? Like, you know, you wouldn't do it in a workplace, and you should, certain, as Ramsdale says, that is their workplace week in, week out. They're entitled to go about their business, you know, but when it gets to that stage, have any comments on what happened? Just disgraceful, isn't it?
Well, it is disgraceful, but I've heard that they're not actually they're going to give him a stadium ban. They're going to give him a 12-year season ticket as punishment. So we have to watch the Spurs for the next 12 years. And he still won't see a trophy, bless him. So, but yeah, no,
it's a life sentence being a Spurs fan.
He's suffered enough, bless him. So let's say that much. But no, all joking aside, it's disgraceful. It shouldn't have happened. And the fact that some mainstream media like TalkSport coming out and saying that Ramsdale shouldn't have done what he done. He kissed the badge and celebrated a win at Spurs. So he's absolutely within his right to do that.
I completely agree, Ozzy. I completely agree. You know, I seen Jim White earlier on TalkSport saying blaming Ramsdale. How does Ramsdale, you know, giving a little bit to the sports fans, make a fan come on and kick him? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I won't really say my opinion on Richard Keys, because if I do, I'll say something that I shouldn't. Because
we all know what you want to say.
Well, he is. You know, he's blaming Arteta for the players' behaviours and the fan coming on and assaulting him. Richard Keys, actually, there should be a restraining order against Richard Keys and Arteta, because he seems to have a really in for him, because every week he's going on about Arteta. But look, we're doing so well. The media are waiting for us to fall away, and we're not going to fall away. Hopefully.
What did you make of it, Lottie? What the instance?
It's disgraceful. I mean, we've all seen the social media posts. I don't know if you've seen the fan view one. The steward just stand there, laughed, and let him walk over the line. He stood there and laughed.
Yeah.
So he's clearly not doing his job properly, and I hope his employer looks at that. He doesn't deserve to be working in any form of football stadium. But yeah, no, it's disgraceful.
You said what? Who was that? Was that from the steward?
The steward that he walked past. He stood there and smiled. If you watch it back slowly, you'll see it, and it's all over Twitter. And of course,
that could have easily been. Sorry, Lottie. That could have easily been a knife that lad was carrying. You know,
exactly. Although everyone gets searched on entry, you still see people throughout the stadium, away and home, and they still have flares and everything else. So it could have been snuck in.
Yeah.
And you can't have that when you're in your workplace. It's like someone walking into your own workplace and attacking you, and your boss not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the first time I've seen that now in a long, long time.
It's the first time in a long time. You might see it a bit more in the lower leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that incident with the water bottle. I don't know if you guys saw that over social media. It happens in the lower leagues, but in top flight football, you don't expect that.
No.
You don't expect that. You expect the stewards to be doing their jobs. Although they can't physically touch you, they can stop you.
Yeah.
Because there's a limit to what they can actually do to fans within the grounds themselves, without the police getting involved. But yeah, no, it's just disgraceful. And of course, the power of Arsenal Twitter has already found him. He's everywhere. He's all over my social media this morning.
He's just been charged.
Oh, has he? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That shows how much attention I've been paying to it.
Yeah, and I have to say hats off to Arteta for dragging the players away. In particular, Zaki again.
Just him running after Zaki, it was so funny.
I'm just so relieved he lost his head post match.
Yeah.
Because this is the game I worry about him.
Yeah.
It's the one game that's going to worry about. Any other game, I don't care. That this particular fixture, there's a red card.
You know what we're saying about Granit Xhaka though. Someone on Jono, someone I'll follow on Twitter, he goes very home and away, to be honest, and he was saying about Granit Xhaka, and I sort of posed a question: has there been a bigger turnaround in the player, not in my history, than Granit Xhaka? How he's turned things around? What an achievement he's done. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it shows. I think a lot of credit probably has to go to Arteta as well for getting his head back in the game. Because another bad season or two, and I say he could have possibly been out the door. That was any other manager. Arteta seems to put his arm around players that are willing to work for him.
Well, Roma put in a 12 million bid, didn't they?
He could have went.
Imagine that. Imagine if that.
Jack is the captain without the armband.
He is. 100%.
Yeah, I think he's better off, Craig, without the armband. Yeah, he's shown more lead. Yeah, I think it was probably too much pressure on him.
Yeah.
Because he too much desire, maybe, and maybe that's what roiled him at time. Because he had to be the face of the club. And no, but I have to say, Zinchenko's been great coming in and out of left back into midfield when he has to. He's so effortless, isn't it? Like so fluid. It's like he's always been at Arsenal. And
it's when you look at that team, when you look at the whole, I'm looking at the team right now in front of me, and there's so many captains on that pitch.
Yeah.
There's so many captains. You wouldn't mind Gabriel having that armband. You wouldn't mind Saliba, even though he's young.
Even Ramsdale.
Zinchenko, Ramsdale,
Yeah.
White, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka. You know what I mean? You just look through it.
Yeah.
They're all, and not, you know, it wasn't that long ago since we had a team of people who wouldn't show up when they needed to. So
Yeah.
I think that's
It shows a lot, doesn't it, when you have so many players ready to become leaders of a team, you know, and but you know, it's just great. It's great to be top of the table, isn't it? Before we move on, I suppose we go to our man of the match. I suppose it's definitely Ramsdale for me. Craig, who was your man of the match Sunday?
I do agree with you, Johnny, probably Ramsdale, but I didn't speak to him. Speak about him yet. I thought Gabriel was immense. I thought he was so good. I think he's been so good all season. I think he bullied Kane. Didn't give him a sniff really.
Yeah.
Had a couple of chances came, but I just think this season he's been very consistent. You know, he makes the odd mistake here and there, but I think he was absolutely brilliant on Sunday.
Yeah. Thomas Carroll, are you listening? Your mate spoken. Another fan pack will be heading out to you make your right comment there. More Merlot than Pirlo. Ozzy, who was your man in the match?
You mentioned Merlot and then you come to me. Why would you do it? Bukayo Saka for me, just on the fact that how he just, you know, a lot of he was offered an outlet, he pulled players around the pitch, he disrupted their midfield, and I think that's where a lot of our play came from. So yeah, Bukayo Saka for me, 100%.
Yeah, Lottie, who stood out for you?
Oh, it's got to be Martin Odegaard for me. He's just a joy to watch week in, week out.
Yeah.
And those goals are just getting better and better. It's one North London derby I'm not going to forget.
No,
for sure.
Isn't it great that we all have different picks?
Yeah, says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Normally, you know, maybe in years previous, we've been struggling to pick a man of the match. So,
yeah. We've had, I think last week and the week before, Ozzy's been on the last two as well. They've all been different picks again, haven't they? And that shows, as you said, that 11 on the pitch, every one of them are outstanding, and you'd probably give it to the whole 11 if you could, but you know, it can't be too greedy. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
I have to say on behalf of Eamon and Ian as well, they went for Nketiah man of the match, didn't they? And our previous chat, so yeah, he deserves a special mention.
He's been running that as well since that Boxing Day victory over West Ham. He's been exceptional since he's taken over the mantle from Jesus. So hats off to Eddie. You know, it could be hard for Jesus to get back. You know, if he keeps this up, you know, that's a great headache to have. You know, and I'm glad he is taking on the challenge of Jesus out, because he could have, you know, it's a lot of pressure on a young man's shoulders, you know, it can be a lonely position when you're up there on your own as well, but he's got Martinelli and Saka beside him, which is great, you know. That leaves us topped with 47 points. It's 15 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat, 42 scored and 14 conceded, which is just great, you know. It's 14 conceded. It's like the old days, isn't it, with Seaman and goal? You never conceded more than 30 in a season. That brings us on to our preview of Sunday's game against Man United at 4:30 on Sky Sports. United 9 wins in a row now, isn't it? They've had 9 victories in a row. As Craig said a few minutes ago, very unlucky not to. I think we should have possibly won at Old Trafford. Martinelli's goal 100% should have stood. I think we'd all agree, a ridiculous decision. Because United done that tackle numerous times against City and got away with it on Saturday, you know. But you get nothing at Old Trafford, and we got nothing that day. But we came back fighting after that United game, and I think that's solidified the team as well, that defeat. United have 38 points. In fairness, Ten Hag has turned them around himself. You know, it looked dodgy there. Come September, they were functioning around the bottom, but since they got rid of Ronaldo, like we done with Aubameyang, they've kind of strengthened, you know, a bit more team unity. But at home, was it 3-1 last season?
Yeah.
Saka scored that cracker, didn't he?
Yeah.
long range.
Yep, and there was also that wonderful penalty miss.
Ah,
That was glorious.
we don't
Straight
talk
out of
about
play.
Bruno.
No.
No.
A big game, lads. I think this be a bigger test than the Spurs game. I think United are more unified than Spurs are. I think I thought this one out of two was going to be the bigger test. I'm not going. I'll probably give my prediction at the end when you've given yours. Might go with 2-0 because Ozzy was right. So stick a bet on, lads. You've heard it first here.
Stick a bet on 2-0.
Arteta, are you listening?
Ivan Toney, are you listening? More like
Eamon, are you more Merlot than Turdo, sorry? Is anyone going to say Eamon's favourite saying? Anyone dare say it?
Oh, but it's so frustrating, dude.
Deirdre.
Yeah, that's a fucking horrendous. We
Yeah,
might leave it for Eamon, sorry. I'll come to Craig. How do you see the game going on Sunday, Craig? Are you optimistic, sorry?
Yeah, going over to the game on Sunday. I'm optimistic, but I know United are a good side, so I said at the start of the Spurs game, out of the Spurs and United game, I'd take 4 points. I thought that would be reasonable, Look, I do think we win on Sunday. I do think it's going to be a very difficult game. I think United will probably let us have the ball, and they might try to do what Spurs did. They might try counter us.
Yeah.
They have the likes of Rashford, Martial, Anthony Dear that they're fast, so they'll probably be waiting for us to kind of slip up a pass and then go in behind and like they normally do. I don't see them really come into play. They are in a good run of form, United, but again, they haven't really played many bar City. They're playing a lot of kind of weaker.
Yeah.
Words. It's a bit of a false run in my opinion because didn't Emery go 27 games unbeaten?
Did, yeah.
And again, I don't think we played a lot of good teams in that period. Fair enough, 9 wins in a row, brilliant, fair play to them, and I think he is a manager. I think he will have them. He will have them. Maybe contending the likes of next year, but I think we've a stronger starting 11 than them. I think technical wise, we're a lot better. We keep the ball a lot better. We probably pass the ball a lot better than them. So I am optimistic, but again, you kind of have to keep your eye on Rashford. The only thing that worries me slightly about this game is if we are drawing, say, come the 75th minute, will we comply with steam like we did against Newcastle? Because I think if we're drawing or we're losing come the last 15 minutes of a game, nobody really to bring on that's going to impact the game. Maybe Smith Rowe might be a bit fairer this week to come on and change things, but a lot of the games this season we've started quickly early and we've kind of got one or two up, and I think that's really the main reason we've got a lot of wins. So I am optimistic. I'd love a win. I think we will win, but if it was a draw, I wouldn't be crying about it. If we win and if we drew and City were to win, still be 6 points in it, so we'll still be ahead. But I think we owe United one. I think prediction wise, I'll go 3-1 Arsenal. I think same as a reverse fixture. So yeah.
Yeah, you're living dangerous there.
And I hope we do beat United on Sunday, especially because Gary Neville still doesn't think we win the league, and he thinks that Man City and United will finish ahead of us.
Yeah.
So all I can say about Gary Neville is he's a knobhead.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
He never shows. He doesn't give us recognition even when we are playing over our skin this season. And to be honest, we're top of the league for a reason. And I think by far, not being biased or anything, but I think we've been better than City this season. City have stuttered a lot this season. They've drawn 3, lost 3. And I think even the games that they have won without Haaland, I think they would have really struggled. And I think letting Zinchenko, Sterling, and Jesus go, I think was a bit of a, I scratched my head on that one, to be honest with you. It does bring it back to what Craig said. United, since the restart, they've beaten Forest at home, Wolves away and Bournemouth at home, and then obviously City. So, like as Craig says, they're all teams really struggling, and being a big team, you'd expect to be beating sides like that. But look, hats off to Ten Hag. He's got rid of Ronaldo, and he's kind of done what Arteta done. He's not afraid to tell it like it is, and that's the only way you can manage a club, and he seems to have control, where other managers were kind of listening to the chairman, weren't they, and all about who they could get in and all. Lottie, how do you see the game going on Sunday? Another big one.
Yeah, it's going to be 3-0 Arsenal. No hesitation. As you said, they've been playing little teams. The Manchester derby, there's always something a bit more on the line, just like the North London derby. So they're going to come to win. And plus the fact that they were at home, weren't they?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I kind of watched it, but I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, 3-0 Arsenal. And Bruno Fernandes to cry.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Love that.
Yeah, it would be nice to see. All right, yeah. I can see a home victory be tight enough, but yeah, I got to go with 2-0.
Yeah.
As he
If
said.
it's anything like last season, it'll be a good game. Either way.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I think every team that are coming to the Emirates are fearing us now. They're fearing. If we get a quick start, that could be the end of United. We could overrun them.
As Craig said, the only person we've got to worry about is Rashford.
I think that young lad.
Nobody else bothers me, but he's been really good since he's been away and come back from the World Cup. Really
I think
good.
Casemiro as well. He's solid enough, isn't he? He breaks up play. He does a job for them. He's just one of those players that he's just stubborn, isn't he? He's just, you can't get by him. He has to make. He makes it.
Yellow tomorrow. He's out of the game.
Is he?
Yeah.
By tomorrow.
They're playing Palace tomorrow, so if they got a yellow, Casemiro will be out on Sunday. So that'll be a big plus because he is a good player.
Yeah, if they win that one, 6 points off us then?
Yeah.
Game
in hand. We'll get
game in hand. City are playing Thursday against Spurs as well, remember. Spurs could go there and get a draw because they always seem to do fairly well away at City. They've got a few draws, haven't they, over the last few years? But Conte and Guardiola as well hate each other, don't they? Ozzy, how do you see the game going Sunday yourself? You'll be at it along with Lottie and Craig. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I'm going to go for an Arsenal winner, but I think it's going to be tight. I think personally, United are well coached. I think Ten Hag is a good manager. I think they're in good hands, and unfortunately, it pains me to say it, but I think we've seen the worst of United for a few years now. And I think they will be on the upward trajectory, whether it's this season or next. But I think we've seen the worst of them for a while. If they keep Ten Hag, that is. Casemiro versus Partey and Xhaka, I think in midfield is going to be the battle to watch. I think that's where the game's going to be won or lost for me with Eriksen as well. I think, and Fred, I think it is a place centre midfield for them. So, like I say, if Casemiro gets yellow tomorrow, that'll be a result.
Yeah.
And Patrick Vieira's just a bit for United, doesn't he? So hopefully he gives a few of them a kick in a tunnel. And picks on Gary Neville to boot as well. Why not? Why not? Because he'll be there as well. I am worried about Marcus Rashford. If memory serves, he's placed on the left, doesn't he? So you're looking at Benny White. So it's going to be a big game for Ben White, and to be honest, I think he's got everything he needs to be able to keep him quiet. So that'll be an interesting battle. So similar to the sort of Spurs game, I think there's a lot of battles over the pitch, and it's who comes out on top. I think the midfield, we just need to play like we did against Spurs. If we come out and go for that early goal, I think Craig was right to draw comparisons with Newcastle, because I think it'll be a similar game. It will either be a 0-0 draw or a high-scoring match. And that sounds really contradictory, but it all depends what happens in that first 15, I think. Will determine what sort of match we're going to watch. I'm hoping it's the latter, a high-scoring one, just for the excitement of it, as long as we come out on top. I was toying with a 1-0, but I'm going to go 2-1 because I think United have got a goal in them as well. But yeah, look, they're well coached. I hate United just as much as I hate Spurs, to be honest. I think there's a rivalry in my childhood. But this is a big, big, big game. And if we come out on top of this, I think I keep saying this every week, we'll start believing, but we've got to start believing at some point. And I think for me, this is such a big game. I looked at these two fixtures and thought, if we get 6 points from these, then we've got a real chance. And I'm not getting carried away. I think it's warranted to start saying that now.
I think you're right, Ozzy. I think you really are right. I think if we beat these on Sunday, everyone will take notice.
Yeah.
Not that they haven't yet, but you know, just
I think we warrant it if we do, don't we? You know, we've shown up against, you know, and they're not just one-offs. And everyone's talked about the Man City games, but if we can go into those Man City games not needing a result, how amazing would that be? You know, so and I do think we'll get something against City at home if you know, I really do think that. Away from home, we don't know, but we're talking a long way off now. But it all depends. Like, I know we're going to talk about transfers and stuff, but I think, you know, there's not going to be any transfers that are going to affect the game on Sunday, I don't believe, unless we do something really quick. But yeah, I think United playing. I think Craig made a good point. United are playing tomorrow. That's not easy as well. Playing.
Easy,
you know,
going to Shellhurst Park.
No, and it all depends on that result, because if they lose that result, that changes that momentum. It changes. You could get a different game. You could get
even a draw.
Yeah, you know. So if they drop, if they drop points, if they lose, they might want to react against us. It could change a whole lot of things and how the game's going to look. So really, tomorrow night's really important. But yeah, like I said, I just hope Patrick Vieira laces up his boots and goes around and kicks a few of them. He owes us that, doesn't he? But
it's definitely. I still think it's the two games against City could determine where, you know. But we're saying City all the time. Newcastle are creeping. Exactly. You know, if City lose any more points, you could nearly write them off. You know.
I know you're saying about City, Johnny, but I made the mistake of looking at our April fixtures today.
I know, yeah.
I've seen them as well on Twitter. Yeah.
But it's not about it's. You look at I looked at all these 38 games when I got this fixture guide in August, and I was in fear of all of them. But we're 18 games in and top with one defeat. You know, I think February, March, Everton, Brentford, Villa, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Palace. There, we could be going into April, and that you could have it all but one mid-April.
I think in April, going into the April running, like I'd either want to be, you know, 8 points and above, you know, going into that run, because, you know.
I know what you mean. You want a cushion. Yeah. You
know, Man City, people write Man City off their peril because, you know, they're capable of going a 10, 11 game win, because that's just the case, you know.
Yeah.
So if we don't win the title and they go on a run, you know, hats off to them. But we're definitely favourites.
It's great. Like, even just to say that, it's not right, you know. It isn't. Like, we got Leeds, Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, City, and Chelsea on in April. And of course, throw in the Europa League that should be around the semi-final stage, shouldn't it? Around that.
Yeah, it might be in Budapest.
Still got my room booked, mate. Still got my room.
Light booked too.
Where the Europa League final is being held here in Dublin next year.
Yeah.
So we won't have to worry about that. We'll be in the Champions League, though.
Not here, and that's in Wembley.
Is it?
Yeah.
The Champions League next year. Oh, lovely.
So we can say a lot. He's in his house.
I'd fucking sleep on the street. I have to. I'd spring me up. Beyond that spider cam, like Martinelli scarf on Sunday. Show me in there, lads. No, you look great, exciting times, lads, and it's been a long time coming. I suppose we move on to a bit of transfer. We lost out in Felix the week before, and we lost out in Mudrick. His head was turned somewhere along the line, you know. I thought we were really close getting him. You know, I think Arteta did as well. And Rafinha looks like going to be, you know, Barcelona seem to want to get him off the books quick before the end of this window. We were linked with him in the summer, and I still like to take him. I still think he's a proven player than Mudrick. You know, he shown it in the French league with, I think was it Rennes, I think he played for. And he had a great 2 seasons with Leeds, pretty much kept him up on his own, I think, being honest. last season. I haven't seen much from him for Barcelona. He doesn't really start week on week, but anytime I've seen him, he's a danger to the opposition. I'll come to you again, Craig. What did you make of all the whole Mudryk and possible Rafinha? And of course, reading the newspaper this morning, Declan Rice, £70 million.
Yeah. Look, I was disappointed not to get Mudryk. I think he is a good player. Whether he'll actually suit Chelsea's style and whether he'll succeed there is another question. The whole deal that Chelsea did with them, it seems very strange from the get-go because, I've seen today that 22 million is going towards the Ukrainian army.
Yeah, it's very odd, isn't it?
It's very, there's definitely a lot of politics in that transfer deal there with Chelsea, which, it doesn't surprise me. I think I've mentioned on this podcast 2 or 3 times that I'm not a fan of Chelsea. I just think they're a horribly run club. And, they're just not a good club, or, the way they're ran, I don't agree with it. But forget about Chelsea. I think he will be a good player. He might prove to be a good sign for Chelsea. I was good not to get him. We were kind of close to getting him for 2 weeks or so. Rafinha, look, I did really want him in the summer, and he went to Barcelona. Again, Chelsea were in for him. Shock. But will it happen or not? I'm not sure. I've seen 90 million quoted for Rafinha and 90 million quoted for Moussa Diaby. It's also linked to us from Leverkusen. Again, to be honest with you, I think Arsenal are sounding out Rafinha or Moussa Diaby. I think they're the 2 alternatives. Whether they get either one, I don't know. If they threw 90 million at Rafinha, I was just seeing yesterday that Rafinha actually said he wants to stay there, but Barcelona need money. So, there could be a deal there to be done. 2 other kind of alternatives to that, who I think realistically could sign this window is Trossard or Ferran Torres.
Yeah, I like Trossard, yeah.
Yeah, Trossard, 25 million they want from. He's 28, only went 28 there 2 weeks ago. He's prem proven, I like that sign. I think in a 3 or 4 year deal, I think he'd do well for us. I don't think we do enough of these deals where the Premier League proven players are signed. I know we probably are a little bit reluctant to sign players over 26 years of age. I think the club are looking at 26 and under, but the squad is quite young, and I think if you got like the likes of Trossard in, he'd be a very good option from the bench. He won't start week in week out, but Europa League games, I think he be very good. And he's been coached by Potter and De Zerbi, so they're 2 similar coaches to pressing style coaches that are the way Arteta coaches. So he might be an option. I think maybe towards the end of the window, I think they will try for Rafinha or maybe a Ferran Torres. Now I've seen 50 million quote for Ferran Torres. I think he will be a good signing because he can play striker and on the wing. He probably didn't do brilliant at Man City, but it's a lot of competition there. Just on the Declan Rice rumours, look, 70-80 million for Declan Rice. I think it'd be a brilliant sign for Arsenal. Again, I don't really read too much into it because I think it'll go to Chelsea. I think Chelsea will try to book with him. Arsenal offer 200 grand a week. Chelsea offer 250 grand a week. He was at Chelsea as a boy, and I think he's best friends with Mason Mount. So, although I'd absolutely love Rice, I just think it'll go to Chelsea. And look, that's going to be the way now forward because Bowley and Chelsea seem to throw the book at every player, and money talks, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it was refreshing. I saw a thing in the back pages yesterday, Graham Potter saying they can't keep throwing money to solve the problem. And it's great to see a manager saying that. And that'd probably be his death nail saying that as well.
Don't get rid of him. Don't get rid of him. That's okay.
I thought as well regarding the Mudryk deal, 7.5 years or so. That's pretty much
8 and with an option to go to 8. Yeah.
What did you make of the whole thing?
I thought it was 8.5 years with an option for a year extension to make it 9.5.
I think 7.5 with a year extension.
Yeah,
that's what I read.
So he's on his brand out of his career at one go.
Yeah, it's how they got
one have changed, and
it's their way around FFP.
Yeah,
it's very disheartening, when you're hurt. Like Craig promised us that he'd be lining out against United, and Thomas Campbell is that your name?
I thought he was.
What do you make of it all, Lottie? The transfer saga with losing out in Felix and Mudryk and possible signings coming in.
I'll be honest with you, I hate transfer windows. But I'm only interested in players who want to come play for my club, not because they want a nice big fat paycheck. If you don't want to come play for my club, I don't want you. Simple as.
Yeah.
And like, it really kind of ticked me off with all this announcement. We've just had a massive North London derby, and you're sitting there moaning like we've lost over a transfer. Do you know what? I'm just not interested in players like that. You bang on. You've got a player for your club who's more interested in the North London derby. What does that tell you? That was a political transfer. End of story for me, and I'm not interested in players like that. If he wanted to come to us, he should have just done that instead of gone over to the bus stop in Fulham. So,
I thought, to be honest, I thought his head was turned by Zinchenko. I thought Zinchenko had turned his head to join us.
You unfollowed him on Instagram.
Probably had done, but it's looking more and more political as we read into it. So there's not much we can do about it, but I don't see him lasting 2 seasons at Chelsea. He'll be out on loan within maybe a year minimum.
But the way that club's being run at the moment, it won't be plain sailing. Yeah, I think even Aubameyang wants out. Yeah, I don't think Potter's really happy there looking at him. I don't think he's having it his own. I think it was a mistake leaving Brighton. He was onto a good thing there, and the grass is now greener. Yeah, I think that's De Zerbi lad is a good coach. So he's kept Brighton going. I thought they'd struggle with Potter gone, but likes of Sonny March, I wouldn't mind. He's a good player actually. Ozzy, your take on the transfer?
Firstly, I'll just say about the Felix one for me. I thought was ridiculous. 5 months to have a player who you're only going to improve for another club, and he's not going to. There's no option to buy. I think no option to buy loan deals are rubbish. So, and then he goes and gets sent off in 20 minutes into a game, which maybe lasts. So 20% of his time is going to be spent suspended anyway. And then so Mudryk, I don't think I've ever seen a player at least as thrilled about a transfer as anyone else.
Yeah.
Just Chelsea fans celebrate that as a win, but how could you celebrate that as a win when he's been twerking at Arsenal for the last 4 weeks?
Yeah.
To be honest, it really makes me chuckle that you can celebrate that as a bigger club statement and stuff like that. He wanted to come to Arsenal. Now, look, I'm with Lottie on that. If you don't want to come to Arsenal, you want to go for that big fat paycheck, go, because that's not. We've got a stable, established team. They all want to play for the badge. And I don't want someone like that who's going to come in and that sort of character. And I think I think we were right to stand by the decision. We are the Arsenal, and we're not to be held to ransom over players. And I think
no players bigger than the club.
Exactly that. So I'm excited by the talk of Declan Rice. It's interesting you said about Mason Mount, but will Mason Mount get in Chelsea? I can't see him being there for a bit because he's going to be taken over by Mudryk in his position. So it'd be interesting to see that development on Declan Rice. And also, someone like Declan Rice must look at the project we've got. He must look at the feel-good factor we've got, the type of players we've got, the up-and-coming players, and he can be. Declan Rice is one of the players I like seeing at the Emirates. So I didn't see him at the game of Boxing Day.
Yeah, he played immense that night.
He's a solid.
Well, you don't see on the camera. He's very, isn't he? He's very. He just breaks up play effortlessly and sets up play. He's very tidy. Yeah.
And I've said before on previous pods. For me, that central midfield. If anything happens to Partey and Xhaka, that's where we're in trouble. Because you've got.
Don't think we're getting this general, Ozzy.
No, and I did hear that, and that still worries me, that central midfield place. So I was hoping that they're talking about a summer transfer, but whether they could get it over the line before now, I don't know. But that central midfield is for me. Moussa Diaby, don't really know much about him.
No, I know he's happy with Diaby's brother, I think.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
That's that injury thing. We're fucked.
I don't know too much about him. But to be honest, I'm a bit like Lottie in that. I wait for the clubs to announce it. I was gutted about Mudryk because it looked like I didn't know too much about him. I read up quite a bit about him in the reports since he got linked to us towards the latter stages when it looked like we was going to sign him. I think it came as a bit of a shock. But I won't.
Trossard or Torres, Ozzy.
Trossard, I think, is a great player. I think you're right in saying that's the type of player I'd rather. Because don't forget, you look at our 11. Whoever's going to come into his side is going to struggle to play week in, week out anyway.
Yeah.
So you need those players. I also like that. I know. I saw his name mentioned in transfer news. Probably right. The other Brighton player, what's his name? The left winger.
Mitoma.
Yeah. So again,
Mitoma. Yeah.
Matoma, that's it. Yeah. So Matoma, he was brilliant against us.
Yeah.
And I thought, so that's the sort of player I think we should be looking at. He's probably not going to please the fans or the transfer fans, but I think we need to look at someone that's going to willing to, sit it out on a bench and wait for their chance.
Yeah.
And there's going to be plenty of football to be played with Europa as well. I think, just calm down. Just like, if we didn't get Mudryk, so what? There's going to be another one there. I think someone put a post on there when we didn't get Mihailovic and we get Jesus, they listed the players. They listed the players that
I think
we
that was
missed
one
out
of my
on.
retweets.
Yeah, was it? It probably was one of yours. But that was fantastic. Like you give 5 examples where we've missed out on a player, and the player with signs going on to be like a cracking, one of the Arsenal first teamers. So yeah, let's put our trust in Edu. Let's put our trust in Arteta. They haven't let us down before. They're part of the project. And yeah, just let's look forward to that.
Yeah, as Paul Merson said on post-match, he says, why upset the apple cart? Why ruin the wage budget as well when Arteta has a tight 11 there? Why ruin it for one player that mightn't end up being anything? I'm sure he would have been Mudryk under Arteta, but I just see, as Craig said, it's just a mess of a club at the moment, isn't it, Chelsea? There is no project. They just want quick success, like Abramovich done in his first season. They're throwing money at it and hope they won't.
The only worry I have, Johnny, is that I do think the club will get a player or two in, but I think Arteta really deserves, because look, we all know, if Thomas Partey or Saka got injured, that would really affect us, and look, no matter what player we get in and transfer was, they're not going to be the same as them 2 players.
No, they're not. No. Yeah.
We don't. I've mentioned it before. We have a good kind of 12, 13 players. After that, then the dropping quality is very clear to see. So because we started so well, it's a season where we could win the league, which is absolutely crazy. I think he really deserves, 1 or 2 players to be brought in to boost the squad. I don't believe in this. You might unsettle the squad. Realistically, whoever's going to come in is going to be a big player till the summer. So, players should be chomping at the bit to come to Arsenal, because
buy into the project. Buy into the project.
It's buying into the project, but wanting to play every week is another thing, isn't it? Because when players sign, they want to play every. And I think we've got lucky that these players, even when they don't start, they're not kicking up in the media or on Twitter. They're happy enough to sit there, and they will get their chance. But there was one player I'd like to see come back, and I think it's worth coming back off loan, is Balogun off Reims. I think he's short so much.
But he's a good player, isn't he?
Just when you just look at the bench, striker wise, there's really nothing there to call on, is there, at all? With Jesus out, and you've got Vieira. He's created midfielder and all, but he's still very lightweight, and I still think Arteta sees that. He doesn't use him in certain games because he'll just be bullied. And I think it probably is a bit of a worry for Arteta now. What is it? 2 weeks. I think it's the last day of the window. I think. Is there enough time to bring in that player you want? I tell you, it could be like similar to last January. You won't overspend. We're definitely not going to be spending 88 million like Chelsea done in Mudryk. Just because they saw Martin Stumple's video, he stuck up off his compilation of him. As good as it was. Thanks very much, Martin, for spending a day doing that. But you can take it right down now.
He's had 330 Chelsea views on that.
So frustrating, Jersey.
What I will say about Chelsea, just one more thing. My heart goes out to Amari Hutchinson, that's threw away his career by joining Chelsea. Because he was a talent. And he's basically just threw his career down the pan. And he'll be playing for Oxford United in the FA Cup in a couple of years' time. So good luck to him.
It shows when your head is turned, you rue the consequences, don't you?
Yeah.
But look, we move on. I'm sure Edu and Arteta has. I'd love to see Rafinha there because I think he'd do well even just for half a season if that's all it was, like just to fill in for the Europa League, and I think he'd help us out. And it's getting a player that would help you out, and not hold you back, Is there anything else, Mercer related or football related, lads, you like brought up?
No.
Just looking forward to seeing the new stadium wraps. They're going up
Yeah.
today.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're
Are they
absolutely beautiful. I
Yeah.
managed to go around to the art gallery of them, and they're amazing.
Are
Yeah.
Going up, they started
I've
putting
got
them
to
up today,
say,
didn't they?
I'm absolutely loving the one with the women's wrap on the Champions League trophy.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
It's just nice to see the girls like Rachel Yankee, Alex Scott. There's a few more on there. I can go on for ages about who's on there, but it's just brilliant to see. And you've got them side by side with the likes of Rocky, Henri, and it's so good to see. I'm glad we haven't been left, like the women haven't been forgotten.
Yeah,
But the rest of it is
recognition,
brilliant.
yeah.
I really do love the Highbury. What do you think of the Highbury one, Oz?
It's fantastic.
Up close, it's brilliant. You've got all the managers down the bottom. You can spot Arsene Wenger a mile off with his.
I just hope they bring it out as a print. I hope they bring it out as a print to sell because I'll be buying that.
Me too.
Mrs. Oz doesn't know.
Me
about
too.
it.
I mean, the
I'll be
pictures
behind me.
I've taken, I'm going to blow up and put on my wall anyway.
It's great to see the Dublin Arsenal being
100%.
represented in it as well. Absolutely brilliant, and it's great to see. It's a bad need,
I
isn't
looked
it?
for when I saw that one.
Yeah. Hopefully we get the podcast somewhere on the wall as well. That'd be really top it out, wouldn't it? No,
Yeah.
it's in bad need of a renovation, isn't it? Like it needs to be added. Stuff needs to be added to the stadium because it'd be 20 years old, lads, in 3 years' time, which is mad. Years away from Highbury. And hopefully Wenger gets his statue as well. Hopefully that's long overdue.
Yeah.
Without Wenger, there'd be no Emirates Stadium.
Yeah.
His vision for Arsenal is all coming true in all these players now we're watching. As he says, 90 minutes is like pleasing a woman. Send her home happy with 3 points.
Look, he knew all along. He brought Arteta into the club. He knew all along. Wenger knows. Wenger knows what he was doing.
Yeah, look, long may the 90 minutes treat every woman nice who we win the title. Get to become future Arsenal fans. Here we go. Hopefully Spurs continue to decline and it's onwards and upwards for us.
St. Tottenham's Day is on the horizon.
My laptop is about to die there, lads. So
thanks, Craig. Just like to thank Craig, Ozzy, and Lottie for their contributions this week. As always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. And I'd like to dedicate this episode and all episodes this January to aware.ie for depression and bipolar disorder and to Dublin 15 suicide awareness. Until next week, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you all then. Thanks.
Come on, you gunners.
Come on, indeed.